when I was reborn and went to the Eastern Palace to visit my pregnant younger sister. I soaked in cold water all night before telling my mother. I've caught a chill and come down with a cold. I don't want to pass my illness on to my sister. So I won't be going. My mother gave me a meaningful look and left. My maidservant felt sorry for me and asked why I was putting myself through this. I shook my head. I cannot go to the Eastern Palace. I in my previous life. I went only to have my reputation utterly ruined and my entire life ruined along with it. I end this life. I have no desire to wade into that murky water and become the Empress Dowager. Main text. The maidservant Eru couldn't discern the deeper meaning in my words. She merely expressed regret that I couldn't go to the Eastern Palace. I gave a bitter smile and said nothing. I end my previous life. I would certainly have felt devastated at not being able to visit my sister, but now I would rather never set foot in the Eastern Palace for the rest of my life. Suddenly, the perfume pouch at my waist fell to the ground. As I picked it up, I caught a whiff of medicinal scent. Another scent flashed through my mind. I hurriedly grabbed Eru's arm. Quick. Go see if mother has left yet. If she hasn't, stop the gift I prepared. But you prepared that gift long ago. Why stop it now? Eru was puzzled. Just say I got confused and put the wrong thing. My face went pale, frightened. Eru dared not ask any further and hurried off to intercept the gift. My heart began to race, and I clenched the sachet in my hand tightly. Memories began to surge. I end my previous life. Mother had sent me to see my younger sister with the gift. But Cui Yuyan wasn't in the room. Just as I was about to leave, I ran into Crown Prince Li Changhuai. He spotted the sachet on the tray and picked it up to examine it. Did you embroider this yourself, cousin? It's actually better than Yan Yan's work. Li Changhuai even took a sniff. His gaze fixed on me with curiosity. It seems to have a scent. I lowered my head and stepped back. This humble maiden is unworthy of your highness's title. The crown princess's craftsmanship is even finer than mine. This is a medicinal pouch meant to soothe the mind of a pregnant woman. If your highness has any concerns, you may have the court physician examine it before giving it to the crown princess. He smiled and told me not to be nervous. Then he looked at the other items I had brought and chatted with me casually. Though the door was open, I felt it was inappropriate to remain in the same room with the crown prince. My younger sister's husband, so I asked to take my leave. Little did I know that a sudden turn of events would occur at that very moment. Just as I turned to leave, Li Changhuai suddenly wrapped his arms around my waist. So fragrant, so warm. I asked that you, Yan your highness. I am Cui Yumi, not the crown princess. I frantically tried to break free, but my strength was no match for a man's. Li Changhuai carried me forcefully into the inner chamber. As I struggled, for some reason my head grew heavier and heavier. My body grew hot. And finally I went limp. When I regained consciousness, I opened my eyes to see Li Changhuai. His face as dark as ink, standing naked beside me, and beneath the brocade quilt, my body was covered in suggestive bruises. Sister, you, how could you? Cui Yuyan, who had rushed in, gasped in shock. I was stunned, at a loss for what to do. Li Changhuai shoved me off the bed. His eyes filled with loathing. Cui Yuyan fainted before I could explain. My mother rushed over and slapped me across the face, wailing, how could I have given birth to such a shameless daughter? How dare you seduce your own sister's husband? If anything happens to your sister or her child, your death would be no loss. That day became a recurring nightmare in my previous life. The Eastern Palace was in chaos for 3 days and 3 nights. I was locked in my room and only brought to the crown princess's chambers on the 4th day. Everyone looked at me with contempt. The woman who had climbed into her sister's husband's bed. Only Cui Yuyan looked at me with tenderness. She clasped my hand tightly. Sister, I don't blame you, but you must promise me one thing. Won't you? I looked at her face, growing weaker by the moment, without pausing to explain. I nodded repeatedly. She smiled. The words she spoke would haunt me for the rest of my life. She said, Sister, after I die, will you become the crown princess and take care of my child? Will you? I had no choice but to agree, because the moment Cui Yuyan finished speaking, she drew her last breath. Everyone said it was because I had shamelessly seduced Li Changhuai that day, causing the crown princess to go into premature labor. Cui Yuyan endured a difficult labor for 3 days and 3 nights before giving birth to the prince. But she still didn't survive. As for me, with her dying wish, I was kept in the East Palace. I wanted to go and explain, but Li Changhuai just looked at me with disgust. A misunderstanding. Are you suggesting someone dared to frame you in the Eastern Palace? Chui Yumi. You know full well the filth in your own heart. If it weren't for Yenner's wish to keep you, I would have killed you long ago to be buried with her. No one listened to my explanation. Soon after, the emperor passed away, and Li Changhuai ascended the throne. He posthumously honored Cui Yuyan as empress and even held a grand coronation ceremony. As for me, I was carried into the palace in a small palanquin that night. The candles burned all night long. When Li Changhuai rose, he tossed an imperial edict onto me. From this day forward, you are the Empress Dowager. Put aside your unwarranted schemes and raise Yenner properly. This is what you owe Yenner. And what you owe Yenner. If it weren't for you, he wouldn't have lost his mother, and so I remained in the depths of the palace for 11 years as Empress Dowager. I endured nothing but ridicule and cold stares. Li Changhuai would grant me the dignity befitting an empress and visit my chambers, but he never stayed the night, even after we had made love. He would make me kneel before the spirit tablet of Cui Yuyan, enshrined in the hall, until dawn. He said, since you love to climb into bed with men, I'll grant you your wish, but you must repent to Yenner. I could not resist. Besides, I had promised to care for Li Yen. I raised him myself, as if he were my own son, but I never imagined he would harm my child. When I was 5 months pregnant, someone forced a bowl of safflower down my throat, turning my pregnancy into a gush of blood. It was Li Yen who did it. The palace attendants had told him what happened all those years ago, and he came to hate me with a vengeance. He ignored the years I had spent raising him and forcibly fed me the safflower. The child was lost. When Li Changhuai found out, he rushed over. He sat by my bedside, his eyes filled with pity, yet his words were cold. Yenner has been kneeling outside the hall for an hour. I sent him back. He is the only child Yenner left behind. I cannot punish him too severely. He took my icy hand, his voice softening. A rare occurrence. He merely learned of what happened back then and blames you for driving his mother to her death. He is still young. You are both his aunt and his stepqueen. Please bear with him. Can kneeling for a single hour really make him forget? I felt utterly helpless. I looked at him. Back then, it wasn't my fault. I've explained this many times. Li Changhuai suddenly flew into a rage, shook off my hand, stood up, and exclaimed angrily, what good does it do to say it wasn't your fault now? Do you want me to say it was the fault of my first wife? Or do you want me to say it was my own fault? I closed my eyes and said nothing, my heart filled with endless sorrow and bitterness. I blame myself. Why did I go to the Eastern Palace back then? Why did I have a child, only to suffer the agony of a miscarriage? I blamed myself even more for my naivety, for believing that after so many years of marriage, he would accept my pregnancy, even if there was no love. Surely there was some semblance of affection. Now it seems there was nothing at all. Seeing my state, Li Changhuai finally sighed. You take good care of yourself. I will never blame you again. The child I will give you another child in the future. There would be no more children. A bowl of safflower sent my child away and extinguished my will to live. After 3 years of lingering on my sickbed, I passed away. On my deathbed, Li Changhuai held my hand with deep sorrow. Ami, you've been good. I know what happened back then, and I don't blame you. If there is a next life, I'll marry Yenner and take you as well. The 3 of us will be happy together, won't we? No, I wanted so badly to spit in his face, but by then, I no longer had the strength. I thought to myself, if there is a next life, I will never set foot in the Eastern Palace. My memories returned. Eru had already come back. The lady has not yet departed. The matron was taking inventory, and I told her the gifts had been placed incorrectly, so I swapped them out. On the tray were the gifts I had prepared in my previous life. Events unfolded one after another, leaving me no time to think them through. Looking back now, everything was far too suspicious. Someone must have slipped something into the items I prepared. No one paid attention to these things back then. But now that I'm back, I cannot allow them to be sent to the Eastern Palace again. Just as I was about to inspect the items, a group of people arrived outside the room. The head of the group was my mother. Mother had several doctors come to take my pulse. A cold can be a minor or a serious matter. You haven't called a doctor yet, but I happen to have some here today, so let them examine you. The doctors stood before me, taking my pulse one by one. And mother watched intently from the side. My heart was pounding. After taking my pulse, the doctor said I had caught a chill and developed a cold. As long as the eldest young lady takes her medicine on time, she'll be fully recovered in no more than 4 or 5 days." The worry in Mother's eyes faded, and she waved for the attendants to escort the doctors away. She smiled at me, came over to hold my hand, and said gently, "Mother is worried about you. Take good care of yourself these days and don't catch a chill again. Yenner misses her big sister very much. Once you're better, we'll go visit her at the Eastern Palace." After offering a few words of advice, Mother rose and left. The warmth from her touch still lingered on my hand, yet a chill ran through my heart. If I hadn't actually taken a cold bath last night after my rebirth, I would have been exposed as a pretender today. But why did Mother suspect me? Is it really that important whether I go to the Eastern Palace or not? After Mother left for the Eastern Palace, I packed my things, changed my clothes, and slipped out of the mansion. That day, when Li Changhuai and I lost control of ourselves, something must have been amiss, and the only items we'd both touched were the gifts I'd prepared. I had to investigate who exactly was trying to harm me. I went to the Mingchu Pavilion, a place where, as long as you paid enough, you could have anything investigated. I took out the items. The first was the sachet that Li Changhuai had played with in my previous life. The physician sniffed it, then opened it to examine it, before finally shaking his head. "There is nothing unusual about this item." I froze. Nothing unusual. He examined the remaining items one by one, but the conclusion remained the same. Nothing unusual. I furrowed my brow. I searched my memory. If the items I brought weren't the problem, then why did Li Changhuai and I both lose our senses? This doesn't make sense. I went downstairs with my mind full of worries and nearly stumbled. But fortunately, someone steadied me. "Miss, please don't dwell on such things as you go downstairs." I too was a man. I quickly put some distance between us and thanked him in a low voice, but he stopped me as I tried to leave. "Wait a moment." He pulled the sachet from my waist. "Miss, there is something wrong with this sachet." I looked up at him, my heart filled with wariness. "Why do you say that, sir?" He wore a mask, with only his eyes visible, and there was no malice in them. "I am no physician, but the sense seems off. You might want to have someone examine it closely." With that, he handed the pouch back to me. I went back upstairs, where the physician was still waiting. After examining my pouch, his expression changed. "There is a problem. The herbs inside are perfectly normal, but the silver thread embroidered on the surface has been soaked in medicine. This medicine is harmless on its own, but if mixed with something that carries the scent of lilies, it becomes a potent aphrodisiac." I stared at him in disbelief. "This sachet? My mother had given it to me when I returned to the Prime Minister's residence. My mother had already come back from the Eastern Palace to end this life. I hadn't gone there. The incident hadn't occurred. So my mother had returned early, but accompanying her was Crown Prince Li Changhuai. I saw him in the garden and almost turned and walked away, but he approached me, so I could only bow respectfully. "This humble maiden greets His Highness the Crown Prince. Why did you not come to the Eastern Palace?" A hint of urgency lay in Li Changhuai's voice. My heart sank. Could it be that he, too, had been reborn, hiding my true feelings? I kept my distance and replied, "Please forgive me, Your Highness." I caught a chill and feared I might pass my illness on to the Crown Princess and the heir, so I did not go. Li Changhuai remained silent for a long time. I looked up at him in confusion, only to meet those familiar eyes. His gaze was thick with desire. No, this was definitely not the Li Changhuai of the present. Only the Li Changhuai who had been my husband in the previous life would look at me like this. He had returned as well. I asked, "That so?" Li Changhuai smiled, though the smile did not reach his eyes. "I thought perhaps you, my cousin, had also had a dream, and were afraid of me. So you dared not come to the Eastern Palace." "The servant dares not." I hurriedly stepped back, but Li Changhuai had no intention of letting me go. He reached out and took the sachet from my waist, kneading it with his long fingers. This was the gesture he loved most during our intimate moments. I froze, then hastily lowered my head. Why does my cousin dare not look up at me, in the presence of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince? This humble servant ought to keep her head bowed. He laughed again. His voice carried a deliberate huskiness. "I command you to look up." I bit my lip and had no choice but to raise my gaze. Li Changhuai continued his actions, his eyes fixed on my face. "Did you not dream of anything, cousin?" "No. Nothing, yet to me, you look just like the woman in my dreams." Those words were already beyond the bounds of propriety. If anyone heard them, my reputation would be ruined once more. Gritting my teeth, I knelt and spoke in a flustered tone. Your Highness, please be careful with your words. How could I be even if I were? I should be the crown princess, whether he was testing me or not. I refuse to admit I end this life. I did not wish to have even the slightest entanglement with him, yet he pinched my chin and lifted my face. I was forced to look up and meet his gaze. He leaned in, his warm breath brushing against my face. Cousin. But it was you I dreamed of. You should have come to the Eastern Palace today. You should have become mine. Desire churned in Li Changhuai's eyes. He chuckled softly. Ami. You should be happy in this life. Not only will you not ruin your reputation, but I'll speak to Yenner and have you taken into the Eastern Palace as a secondary consort. I told you. In the next life, the three of us will be fine. As soon as he finished speaking, he leaned down to kiss me. Your Highness. In the distance stood a man in a brocade robe with my mother. The latter hurried over, casting an angry glance my way. May I ask what your Highness and Ami were discussing? Li Changhuai had already straightened up, regaining his dignified composure. I happened to run into my cousin in the garden, so I invited her to visit the East Palace and keep Yenner company when she has time. He turned to the man and frowned. The Crown Prince of Wu. What are you doing here? If your Highness can come, why can't I? Zhao Zhan smiled as he fanned himself, his bearing every bit as commanding. I heard that Minister Cui is a master of chess, so I came to play a few games. I asked this something your Highness needs to meddle in. Why don't you go and negotiate a peace treaty with your emperor sooner rather than later? I'm bored of staying here and want to return home. These words struck like a thunderclap, causing Li Changhuai's face to darken as black as ink. Having failed to gain favor here and having his dignity humiliated by a foreign crown prince, he could only stay on with the resolve of King Gojian of Yu. Yet before he swept his sleeve and left, he tossed my sachet onto the ground. With a smirk, he said, Cousin, Yenner misses you and still wants the sachet you made. In 5 days. Remember to have it ready and deliver it personally to the Eastern Palace. He deliberately emphasized the word personally, before I could answer. Mother smiled and agreed on my behalf. I could only bow my head. This servant obeys. Only after Li Changhuai had left did I lower my head and rise, but Zhao Zhan hadn't gone. He wanted to play a game of chess with me. Mother's gaze shifted, as if she wanted to refuse on my behalf. Crown Prince Zhao. Ami. Lady Cui. I merely wish to exchange a few moves. Surely the Great Yong isn't so corrupt that it forbids playing chess in this open garden. Or must I go ask your emperor for a formal decree? Mother hurriedly said she dared not. She could only have a table, chairs, and a chessboard brought in. And before leaving, she patted my hand. Ami, please don't be rude. I didn't know what this Crown Prince of Wu had in mind, so I could only take my seat. He, however, was more composed than I was. He picked up a black piece and smiled at me. Miss Cui, just playing chess is boring. Why don't we add a little something to the game? My mind was elsewhere. I didn't hear him clearly and nodded in agreement. Only then did it dawn on me, but Zhao Zhan was being stubborn and wouldn't let me back out. It's just 3 games. Whoever loses answers 1 question from the winner. Are you afraid to play? Miss Cui, could it be that your chess skills don't live up to the rumors? It was a ploy to goad me, and I fell for it. Having studied chess with my grandfather since childhood, I could even beat my father. I didn't believe he could win against me. Why would I be afraid? I picked up a piece and made my opening move. Crown Prince Zhao, please, the first game. I lost. Zhao Zhan looked at me. Do you have a betrothed? I was taken aback, but I still answered. No, the second game. I lost again. Do you have a suitor? No. By the time the third game ended, the sun had set. It was the first time I hadn't won a single game. Zhao Zhan, however, laughed heartily. He even left his fan with me as an apology, saying he'd come back to play again next time. When I returned to the courtyard, weighed down by my thoughts, Mother was already waiting in my room. Did Crown Prince Zhao say anything? Nothing. We just played Go. Mother asked no further. She raised her hand to have a bowl of dark herbal medicine brought in. Get well soon from this cold, so you won't miss visiting your younger sister. I looked at Lady Cui, who sat before me, elegant and dignified. Suddenly, I asked, Mother, do you think anyone would go to such lengths to harm their own daughter? Mother froze, a flicker of guilt crossing her face. I saw it. She frowned at me, her tone tinged with reproach. What sort of trashy novels have you been reading again? A mother would never harm her own child, even a tiger doesn't eat its own cubs. I changed the subject and asked again. You went to see my sister today, how is she doing? Yenner and the child in her womb are both well, she just wants to see you. If you recover soon, you can go visit her, though mother said it was fine. Yet I could see her anxiety and worry, before I could ask anything else. She turned to leave, before she went. She instructed. As for the perfume pouch, I'll have it prepared, you need only take it to the Eastern Palace. I smiled. Isn't this just a chessboard set? Waiting for me to step into the game. Before today. I couldn't figure out who was plotting against me. After today, everything became cleared. I lowered my gaze to the folding fan beside me, recalling Zhao Zhan's words from our final game of chess. Miss Cui, the Eastern Palace is a den of wolves and tigers. You must not go there, your sister's pregnancy was forced. She likely won't make it to full term. He had discovered the truth about Cui Yuyan's condition. She was already on the brink of collapse. If she had an abortion before the 6th month of pregnancy, the mother might still survive. After 6 months, a premature birth was inevitable. The child might survive, but the mother would surely die in childbirth. That was why they had framed me in the first place to create an excuse. They intended to pin the blame for the stillbirth on me. Zhao Zhan placed the final piece on the board. He had won again, but he pointed to a critical point on the board, then raised his gaze to meet mine. A white piece entering a black formation signifies a dead end. To break the stalemate, one must undergo a complete transformation, face death to find new life. To turn the tide, you need a living piece. If Miss Cui has made up her mind, she may come to me. I pondered for a long time, then finally walked to the desk and picked up a pen to write a letter. I refused to enter this game again. I refused to let my life be squandered by others. I handed the letter to Aru, instructing her to give it to the old man when she went out early the next morning to buy bean curd. For the next 5 days, I was practically under house arrest every day. Mother brought a doctor to take my pulse and made sure I drank my herbal medicine. On the 6th day, after taking my pulse, the doctor confirmed that my cold had cleared up. A look of relief spread across Mother's face as she called for a maidservant to bring a sachet and some newly made clothes. Ami, now that you're well, go to the Eastern Palace. It's perfect timing. Yenner sent an invitation today, and the palanquin is already prepared. As she spoke, I had already been dressed in the new clothes. They were quite dazzling. For such attire to appear in the Eastern Palace, especially on the cousin of the younger sister I was visiting, was beyond the bounds of propriety. I frowned. About to take them off, Mother held my hand. She smiled and said, Yenner sent them. She said she hoped to see her elder sister wearing this when she came to visit. Mother thought she had hidden her scheming well, but I saw right through it. I said nothing more, letting her dress me up as if I were a wrapped gift, then send me off to the Eastern Palace in the sedan chair. I asked, there really no escaping it. As I stepped into the Eastern Palace, I was terrified that if I strayed too far from the matron, I might take a wrong turn and end up in the palace where Li Changhuai was. Fortunately, I made it safely to see Cui Yuyan. Sister, you've finally come. She sat on the couch, looking even more gaunt than when I'd seen her in my previous life. I knelt and bowed respectfully. Greetings, Your Highness the Crown Princess. Cui Yuyan had someone help me to my feet, then dismissed all the palace attendants. She looked at me, her eyes filled with bitterness. Sister, you've been reborn too, haven't you? You hate me, don't you? I looked up at her in silence, unsure how to respond. Cui Yuyan reached out and gently stroked her prominently swollen belly. Sister, I'm sorry, I won't make it until the baby is full term. Father and mother know. Aunt the Empress knows. And the crown prince from my previous life must have had a vague inkling. Aunt the Empress said the next empress must be a Cui, and she must devote herself to raising my child. After much deliberation, they concluded you are the most suitable. So, in my previous life, visiting her at the Eastern Palace was a trap set for me from the very beginning. The tainted sachet was prepared by Mother herself. My encounter with Li Changhuai wasn't a coincidence either. She deliberately left so that Li Changhuai and I would be alone. The medicinal incense in the room had also been prepared long in advance. As long as I was there, Li Changhuai would inevitably become overcome with passion before half an incense stick had burned out, and I was the only antidote. Mother said you have a strong will, unless you made a scandal of it to ruin your reputation and then bound you with moral obligations. You would never have stayed. That is why, on that day, Mother waited until Li Changhuai and I were finished before summoning the people of the Eastern Palace. She made sure everyone knew it was I who had climbed into bed with him and caused my younger sister to faint. This allowed her to give birth prematurely with a legitimate claim. And she could use her dying words to keep me here. In truth, I had already guessed as much, but now that my younger sister, whom I have cherished since childhood, has spoken these words, saying that my closest relatives conspired to deceive me and ruin my life, I still cannot remain calm. My knuckles turned white as I clenched my fists. Do you know how Li Changhuai treated me in my past life? Do you know that while I raised Yenner with all my care, he fed me a bowl of safflower? In my past life, I only lived another 11 years. My body and mind were tortured until I died, completely spent. Cui Yuyan didn't know, she just wept. I was wrong. So in this life, I'm telling you the truth, sister. I don't have long to live. Can you promise me one thing? But you'd clearly live if you just aborted the child. I gritted my teeth and stepped back. A dull ache in my chest. I couldn't bear to see her like this. But I refused to agree to her request. That request would ruin my life. I can't do it. I just can't. She lowered her head, covering her face as she wept. I love Changhuai. And I love the child we're carrying. Besides, my aunt said he needs a legitimate firstborn son to secure his position as heir apparent. Cui Yuyan suddenly knelt before me. Tears streamed down her face. One hand rested on her belly. The other clutched the hem of my skirt. Sister, her voice was filled with pleading. Please, I'm begging you. I won't scheme against you this time. And you won't ruin your reputation again. Can you enter the Eastern Palace? Don't worry. After I die, you'll be made the official consort. The child won't blame you for my death. Changhuai, I can tell he has feelings for you too. I am very generous. I only ask that you come and take care of my child. She had already lost her mind over this so-called love. I narrowed my eyes and forcefully helped her to her feet. I said, I will never enter the Eastern Palace. Seeing she couldn't persuade me, Cui Yuyan lowered her eyes and forced a smile. Since you refuse, I won't press you further and risk damaging our sisterly bond. She said she would look for other well-behaved young ladies within the Cui clan. With nothing left to say, she had someone escort me out of the Eastern Palace. When I saw the palace gates right before me, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. But just as I took that step, someone from behind covered my eyes and mouth with a cloth. The person said in a deep voice, I'm sorry, Miss Cui, but His Highness the Crown Prince wishes to see you. The black cloth was removed, and the moment I opened my eyes, I froze. I had returned to that palace from my previous life, and sitting on the bed was none other than Li Changhuai. He was playing with the sachet that had once hung at my waist, sensing my gaze. He lifted his eyes and smiled at me. Why did you come to the Eastern Palace only to rush off without seeing me? Ami, you have indeed been reborn. He sniffed the sachet, his smile deepening. Did you change the sachet? That's fine, now that I'm with you. I have no need for such things. He beckoned me over. I didn't move. I stood up and stared at him coldly. Your Highness, choose your words carefully. This servant has no connection whatsoever to your Highness. Perhaps the disgust in my eyes was too obvious. Li Changhuai frowned, stepped forward, and seized my wrist. His eyes darkened. How can we have no connection? In your past life, you were my wife. I end this life. Your wife is still toiling to bear your children. I bit my lip, trying to shake off his grip, but I couldn't move an inch. His eyes held a look of understanding, jealous. Ignoring my struggles, Li Changhuai pulled me into his embrace. His warm breath brushed against my ear. I told you I would grant you a proper status. And Yenner agreed. Otherwise, why would you be here? After today, I will issue an edict to take you as my secondary consort once Yenner passes away. Passes away. I suddenly recalled Cui Yuyan's words from earlier that the crown prince in my previous life must have guessed. Did he know all along that my entry into the Eastern Palace was a trap? Did you know all of this was a trap? Li Changhuai fell silent. So he did know. Then in my previous life, he clearly did it on purpose. I recalled those days when people urged my older cousin to climb into his bed. Those days when he humiliated me by making me kneel before Cui Yuyan's memorial tablet, and that day when Li Yan forced me to swallow safflower, leaving me covered in blood. I suddenly struggled free from his grasp. I gritted my teeth. Why? Li Changhuai, you could have chosen anyone else. Why me? I never wanted to be a concubine, a crown princess, or an empress. Every time we made love in the last life, I felt utterly sickened. Li Changhui froze. Ami, how can you say such things? Seeing the loathing and hatred in my eyes, he suddenly felt a pang of panic. He tried to grab my hand again. I'm fond of you. Can't we just be together happily from now on? No. I dodged him and even took a few steps back. I hate you. Can't you just leave me alone this time? Go find someone else. I didn't want to stay any longer. As I turned to open the door, Li Changhui wrapped his arms around my back and held me tightly. Let me go. Ami, you're being so naughty. His warm lips pressed against my neck. His fingers were already sliding over my waist, trying to undo my sash. Unless I break your pride, you'll never learn to be a woman of the Gu family. I pushed him away with all my strength, even biting his hand. But he refused to let go. My sash was already undone, and his hand was about to slip beneath my underskirt, when someone arrived at the door. Your Highness, it's urgent. Li Changhui paid no heed, continuing his actions. Despair was about to overflow from my eyes. The person outside continued to pound on the door anxiously. Li Changhui had no choice but to stop, his voice tinged with lust and anger. What is it? If this isn't urgent, and you've come to ruin my business, I'll have your entire clan executed. The person outside immediately knelt. Your Highness, it truly is an urgent matter. His Majesty and Her Majesty the Empress have sent messengers to the Eastern Palace to summon Miss Cui. After leaving the Eastern Palace, my maid, Arua, hurried over. Miss, why are you so pale? She'd been kept waiting outside for so long without seeing me emerge that she nearly worried herself sick. I shook my head. It's nothing. Fortunately, I'd made a contingency plan. If I didn't leave the Eastern Palace within an hour, Aru was to go find Zhao Zhan. The Emperor wanting to see me must be regarding the plan Zhao Zhan and I had devised, but the Empress wanting to see me. The eunuch led the way, first taking me to the Empress's bedchamber. She smiled gently, taking my hand affectionately. She said, I recall you and Yenner are only 2 years apart in age. Now that Yenner is about to become a mother, it's time to discuss your marriage as well. My expression shifted slightly. The Empress, however, smiled even more deeply. Good child. Your aunt would never harm you. A few days ago, the Crown Prince came to speak with me personally. He has taken a liking to you and wishes for me to issue an edict appointing you as a secondary consort. Yenner's health is fragile. Should she pass away, I shall take it upon myself to elevate you to Crown Princess. As I looked at the Empress's benevolent expression, my heart grew cold. I end my previous life. After the incident occurred, I tried to explain myself to her, but she paid no heed whatsoever. She even forced me to continue sharing a bed with Li Changhui. She never cared about my feelings. Moreover, it was she who sent the person who told Li Yan that I had climbed into bed with him, driving Cui Yuyan to her death. She thought I didn't know, but Li Yan was so terrified by the sight of me bleeding that he spilled everything. Now that she was the Empress Dowager, she didn't want me to have my own children. She only wanted me to take good care of Li Yan. I pulled my hand away from hers and knelt down, keeping my distance. Your Majesty jests. This humble servant is unworthy of becoming the Crown Prince's consort. The Empress's smile froze. Her expression darkened, just as she was about to rebuke me. Someone pushed past the guards and entered the hall. Empress of Great Yong, are you forcing my Crown Princess to become a concubine for your son? Zhao Zhan held a bright yellow scroll in one hand. With the other, he helped me to my feet. He turned his face toward me and raised an eyebrow. I arrived just in time. Didn't I? I pressed my lips together, smiled, and nodded. The Empress on the throne, however, flew into a rage. Crown Prince Zhao, how dare you trespass into the inner palace? Furthermore, Ami is the concubine I intend to bestow upon our Crown Prince. She is certainly not your Crown Princess. She turned to look at me, gesturing for me to come to her side, but Zhao Zhan stepped forward to shield me. He unfolded the imperial edict and held it up toward the Empress, speaking with a smile. Take a good look. This is an imperial edict from the Emperor of Great Yong. It stated that, for the sake of harmony between Great Yong and the Kingdom of Wu, I was hereby betrothed to Zhao Zhan. He waved the edict. What? Is the Emperor's edict not authoritative enough? Of course it is. The Empress was clearly furious, yet she could say nothing more. The Emperor's decree, could she defy it? No, she could not. So when Zhao Zhan took my hand and led me away, She could not stop us once we were outside the palace. Zhao Zhan finally let go of my hand. My apologies. I looked at the faint blush on his earlobes and gave a soft laugh. Crown Prince Zhao. You were so full of confidence just now. How come it's all gone now that we're out? It's my first time holding a woman's hand. I was taken aback. So he's still an innocent crown prince. But Zhao Zhan wouldn't say more. He insisted on escorting me back to my residence first. The imperial edict arrived at the Chui residence before I did, but the moment I stepped into the hall, I was met by my mother's furious glare. She snapped. You wretch. Kneel. My mother glared at me. How dare you ruin the scheme your father, your aunt, and I plotted with such care. Was your scheme to destroy my virtue and make me the wife of a man who slept with another woman? It was a necessary expedient. My mother's heart and eyes were entirely focused on Chui Yuyan. If you hadn't given yourself to the crown prince, Yanyan's premature birth would have been impossible to conceal. How would the world view her? The secret potion Chui Yuyan used was banned in the palace. It must not be discovered. I smiled bitterly. So you want me to be reviled by the world? You're being short-sighted. My child. My father, who had been facing away from me, turned around. He frowned at me. They're just rumors and slander. Once your sister is gone, you'll be the crown princess. And eventually the empress, second only to the emperor. Above everyone else. Why bother with such things? Today, not only have you ruined our plans, but you've also rejected the marriage arranged by your aunt, insisting on a political marriage with the crown prince of Wu. Do you realize that because of this, the next empress might not be a woman of the Chui clan? You are destroying the Chui clan's centuries-old foundation. You are truly a monster. I stared blankly at my parents, who once doted on me, now transformed into demons eager to devour my flesh and blood. My heart was a void of utter stillness, choking back tears. I spoke. Father, mother, what about me? You don't matter. I laughed. So all their scheming was for the glory of the Su family, for my sister's child, but they never once considered me. Mother even planned to tie me up and force me into the Eastern Palace to consummate the marriage with the crown prince, then ask the emperor to replace me with someone else to marry Zhao Zhan. Father silently agreed. Just as the servants were about to bind me, someone pushed them aside. It was Zhao Zhan. After escorting me back to the mansion, he did not leave. Well done, Chancellor Chui. Well done. Lady Chui, you defy the emperor's decree and hold no regard for his majesty, nor do you hold me in any esteem. I looked at Zhao Zhan standing before me, and my heart, which had been as still as death, was suddenly warmed. He handed me a handkerchief. Wipe your tears. It's not worth crying over people unworthy of being parents. I took it and nodded, though my mother was furious. She dared not erupt in anger again. My father frowned. Crown Prince Zhao, this is a matter within my Chui family. You have no right to interfere. Do you? Ha. And what if I do? Zhao Zhan showed no sign of backing down. Furthermore, your emperor has already issued an edict. Chui Yumi is now my crown princess. She is mine, not the Chui family's. Even if she were, the Chui family has no authority over her. He produced another imperial edict. It declared that the emperor had bestowed upon me the title of Princess Ding'an, ordering my marriage according to the established protocol for a legitimate princess, with the date of my departure for the marriage alliance set for 3 days hence, until the wedding, to prevent you from swapping out my crown princess. She will reside with me. Father was so enraged he pointed at Zhao Zhan but couldn't utter a word. Zhao Zhan saw no need to say more. He simply took me and left. I in the carriage. My emotions began to settle. Zhao Zhan poured a cup of tea and handed it to me. I looked into his eyes and felt a sense of familiarity. As I took it, I spoke. Zhao Zhan, are you also a reincarnated soul? The capital has been bustling lately. The emperor has issued 2 imperial edicts. Point 1 was to show consideration for the crown princess, granting His Royal Highness the crown prince a concubine, who is to be brought into the East Palace in 3 days. The other announced that peace negotiations between Great Yong and the Kingdom of Wu had been finalized, designating a Princess Ding'an for the marriage alliance. In 3 days, the Crown Prince of Wu would escort the Crown Princess back to their kingdom. Li Changhuai, who had heard the news, never imagined that I was the very Princess Ding'an. He exchanged a smile with his subordinate. She still claims she refuses to enter the East Palace, now that His Majesty has issued the decree. Won't she have to obey obediently? The subordinate flattered him. No one dares to defy your highness. Miss Chui will come to understand in time that your highness is her entire world. Li Changhuai nodded in satisfaction, although he also felt that the status of a concubine was too low. Yenner was still alive. And he couldn't very well break her heart. Making me endure a period of hardship would also serve to temper my temperament. Once Yenner passed away, he would then elevate me to the position of crown princess. Li Changhuai smiled, his lips curving upward. Go prepare the palace closest to my private quarters for her to reside in, also arrange it to resemble the wedding of commoners. I entered the Eastern Palace as a concubine, yet he wished to grant me the rights of a legitimate wife. Meanwhile, I was unaware of Li Changhuai's self-delusion. That day, Zhao Zhan and I had a candid conversation in the carriage. I learned that he, too, was someone who had been reborn, and that he was the one who had warned me about the problem with my perfume pouch at the Mingchu Pavilion that day. Zhao Zhan's ears turned crimson, yet his expression remained solemn. I love you, but I would never use your freedom to blackmail you. In my previous life, I uncovered some truths, but by then you had already become the Empress Dowager, so I had no choice but to let it go. Later, when I learned you had passed away in sorrow, I led an army to attack Daong. I won the war, retrieved your remains from the imperial mausoleum, and reburied you in a place of my choosing. I didn't think you'd have wanted to stay there. I nodded, acknowledging his actions. In my previous life, I loathed Li Changhuai and refused to share a grave with him. Zhao Zhan had, in a sense, done me a favor. He continued. When I awoke again, I found myself back here. I'm glad to have the chance to help you this time, and to have the Shansito confess my feelings to you. Zhao Zhan placed the imperial edict bearing the Wu Kingdom's crest in my hand. He held up 3 fingers. Marrying you is partly out of my own selfishness, but it's also a temporary expedient. If you're unwilling, once we reach the Wu Kingdom, I'll let you go swear it by this edict. If you're willing, I'll treat you well for the rest of our lives. If you tell me to go east, I'll never go west. Swear it by this imperial edict. When I opened it, I realized it was a scroll bearing a jade seal, which meant I could write whatever I wanted on it. My nose stung slightly. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, someone had taken my wishes into account. I looked up and smiled at him. That's quite sincere. Then it's up to you to prove yourself. We were set to depart in 3 days, so time was indeed tight, but Zhao Zhan feared that delays would invite trouble, and that Li Changhuai might continue to harass me. However, the imperial palace had long since prepared my dowry according to custom, so I didn't need to make any further preparations. Just the day before our departure, I found myself craving the bean cakes sold on the street. So I went out with a Rue to buy some and get some fresh air, but I never imagined my luck would be so bad. No sooner had I finished buying them than I turned around and ran into Li Changhuai. He took my hand, a smile on his face. Why aren't you at home preparing for the wedding? I frowned and shook off his hand. Do you like these? In the future, I'll have someone buy them for you every day. Li Changhuai was in a rather good mood. He even glanced at the fabric Errol was holding. That fabric is a bit too extravagant. A concubine of the Eastern Palace shouldn't wear such luxurious garments. He looked at me and smiled affectionately. Never mind. Never mind, since I favor you, I'll make an exception for you, but you mustn't dress like this in front of Yenner. Understand, Your Highness? You're being a bit too controlling. My mistress isn't even in the Eastern Palace. She can wear whatever she likes. Errol couldn't stand it anymore and interrupted his daydreaming. Li Changhuai froze. What do you mean? Nothing. I didn't want to say more to him. It seemed he had mistaken that concubine for me. To ensure I could leave safely tomorrow. I didn't want to explain. He smiled. Ami, I'll be waiting for you tomorrow. Li Changhuai didn't think much of it, suppressing the surging desire within him. He thought, in just one more day, I will be his. Unfortunately, that was merely his wish. On the 3rd day, the entire city was ablaze with red. I donned the wedding robes of the state of Wu and boarded the carriage. Zhao Zhan led the way as we departed. Over in the Eastern Palace, red silk banners had also been hung, though she was merely a concubine. The crown prince held her in high regard. After the concubine entered the Eastern Palace, she paid her respects to the crown princess and was then permitted to return to her chambers. Li Changhuai waited for the concubine to complete the formalities before carrying her away. Cui Yuyan was already too weak to rise. She watched their retreating figures. Shaking her head with a bitter smile, she knew the crown prince regarded that concubine as an older sister, but she couldn't say so. Her sister had finally managed to escape this place that devoured people in this lifetime. She must not let her be entangled here again, but she hadn't expected Li Changhuai to become so enraged. In less than half an hour, the concubine was thrown out of the bedchamber. Her clothes in disarray. Li Changhuai stormed over and demanded of Cui Yuyan if she had made a mistake. She shook her head. Your Highness, that girl is the concubine bestowed upon you by His Majesty. Li Changhuai's eyes bulged with fury. Then what about Ami? My sister was granted the title of Princess Stingin and married the crown prince of Zhao. As she spoke, she laughed and even coughed up blood. Your Highness, my sister doesn't love you. She wants to stay far away from you. I am the only one who loves you most. Upon hearing this, Li Changhuai immediately set off in pursuit. Cui Yuyan collapsed on the ground, bleeding, but he left without a second glance. Once the marriage procession reached the border between the two countries, it was handed over to the Wu Kingdom's reception party. Zhao Zhan, fearing I might be exhausted, kept offering me snacks from time to time until a shout rang out from behind me. Ami, Cui Yumi. Li Changhuai, still clad in red, had actually come running after me. Soldiers from the kingdom of Wu blocked his path, yet he kept his gaze fixed on me. Dressed in my wedding gown, his face was etched with pleading, tinged with hope. Ami, it's me, come back. I won't make you a concubine, I'll make you the crown princess. All right, hurry back. You're supposed to be my wife. Zhao Zhan glared at him coldly. You ruined her first Lefido, you intend to ruin her second as well. Li Changhuai, you'd better get the hell back where you came from, or I'll make sure you never walk down the aisle in this lifetime. Tension hung thick in the air between them. I stepped down from the carriage. Zhao Zhan's face was tense, while Li Changhuai's was filled with joy. Ami, come here quickly. I'll take you home. Li Changhuai, I spoke coldly. My home in this life will only ever be in the kingdom of Wu. I never schemed against my own family, and I certainly won't go back with you. You utterly despicable beast. The hatred I'd carried for 2 lifetimes finally burst forth in my words. Li Changhuai looked at the loathing in my eyes, his own eyes filled with sorrow. Ami, we've been husband and wife for 11 years. We were doing so well. You were the one doing well. I could no longer swallow the resentment filling my heart. In the last life, if it hadn't been for Yenner's dying words holding me back, I would have wanted to die with you. And I would have wanted to kill that little bastard with my own hands. Li Changhuai nearly fell from his horse. He couldn't believe how much I hated him right in front of him. I took Zhao Zhan's hand. He is my husband, Zhao Zhan, Crown Prince of Defying. If you stand in the way of my husband and me returning to our homeland to wed, I won't hesitate to urge him to march his troops against Defying. With that, I patted the dazed Zhao Zhan on the shoulder and had him help me back into the carriage. His eyes lit up. You called me husband? I shot him a look. Don't like it. I won't call you that anymore. Zhao Zhan shook his head hurriedly. He spat in Li Changhuai's direction from afar, then ordered the procession to enter the borders of the state of Wu. Li Changhuai tried to give chase, but a messenger arrived from behind. Your Highness, hurry back to the capital, the crown princess is dying. Panicked, he tried to spur his horse forward, but darkness engulfed his vision and he collapsed. Meanwhile, I had already arrived at the capital of the state of Wu. The king and queen of Wu were overjoyed by my arrival. The wedding ceremony was even as grand as a coronation. In the bedchamber, after Zhao Zhan and I had completed the rites, he planned to sleep in the outer room with a blanket. You are, after all, the crown princess. It wouldn't be right for me to leave on our wedding night, but I said I'd never force you. So I'll sleep out here, just call me if you need anything. My heart felt warm. I teased him. As newlyweds, if you won't share the bed with me, doesn't that mean you're rejecting me? I'm not. He hurried back to explain. How could I reject you? I am overjoyed just to be here. I smiled. I decided to stop teasing him. Zhao Zhan, what you said in front of Li Changhuai that day wasn't a lie. I know. Wait. Zhao Zhan's eyes lit up, and he sat down beside me. Ami, do you mean? Zhao Zhan, I pursed my lips, stood up, and pressed a kiss to his cheek. I think you could be my husband. I knew how he felt about me, and my own heart fluttering wasn't fake either. In this life, perhaps I could finally live a truly fulfilling life. Zhao Zhan's eyes darkened, but he still blinked and asked me, Ami, do you really want me to be your husband? I do. Right now. If you don't behave yourself in the future, I'll fill out that imperial edict and run away secretly. No. No. I'll behave myself. After saying that, he embraced me, a smug smile curving his lips. Tonight, let's see how I perform. My wife, warm kisses fell upon me. Some light, some deep. The red dragon and phoenix candles crackled and flickered. The night was still long. It wasn't until 2 years later that I heard news of Li Changhuai again. Erwa was the one who told me. That day, Li Changhuai had left the Eastern Palace in a hurry, enraging Cui Yuyan so much that she went into premature labor and suffered a difficult delivery. When the guards tried to stop him and bring him back to the palace, Li Changhuai fainted from the shock. When he came to, Cui Yuyan and the child had both perished. Unable to believe it, he raved that at least the child must be alive, then went to seek an imperial decree to lead troops against the state of Wu and bring me back. The emperor was deeply angered by his behavior, deeming him mad and unfit to remain crown prince, and thus stripped him of his title. The empress and the Cui family sought to install a new crown prince, but the emperor suspected them of plotting to destabilize the court.I. In the end, the empress was placed under house arrest, and Chancellor Cui was exiled from the capital.As for Li Changhuai. He was confined to a cold palace, muttering day and night that I was his wife, and that Yan and Yan were still alive. If you ask the servant, they all got what they deserved. I took the fruit. Finding Erwa's indignant expression rather amusing. 2 years have passed, and I've heard that these matters have settled without further turmoil. I've long since let go of them. Now I am in the kingdom of Wu, cherished by the king and queen as their own daughter, and I have a husband who loves me dearly. This is enough to heal the wounds of my past. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the figure at the door and smiled. Erwa, please don't mention those people to me anymore. Why? Besides, a certain crown prince is turning into a jealous fool. As soon as the words left my mouth, the figure at the door rushed in and Zhao Zhan placed a packet of sweet cakes in front of me. I'm not. Erwa smiled and stepped back. He took a seat beside me and began peeling fruit for me. How can you say that? I could smell the vinegar from a mile away. So you're rejecting me? Zhao Zhan put on a pout. I snorted with laughter and tossed the sweet cake back at him. Of course not. This is too sweet. It makes me want to throw up. Don't buy it anymore. Zhao Zhan froze for a moment. He clearly remembered me saying I wanted some just a few days ago. Seeing his dazed, silly expression, I couldn't help but tap his forehead. Silly. I smiled, pursing my lips, and pointed to my lower abdomen. I'm pregnant. I can't eat anything sweet or rich anymore. Zhao Zhan's eyes widened, then he jumped up and shouted, without a shred of dignity, I'm going to be a dad. I gently stroked my belly, watching him circle me and shout, feeling that life was truly wonderful. I end this life. I am truly fulfilled. The story ends here. Thank you for listening.